Oh boy, another stream Another stream tonight. Gonna wait a few minutes here to see if anyone actually joins. Of course, I know this is not a normal streaming time, but that's okay. I will actually leave the video up for people to see, and perhaps this is a way to get a few more videos out, even if they are live streams, to get some videos out and actually create some content. So like I said, we're going to wait a few minutes, but as you can see, the title is CCP Supports the Taliban. And, that's one thing. Not going to discuss too much in this stream of my opinion of, Biden and, the pullout, because real men don't pull out, right? But we're going to say that basically we're not going to talk about that too much. We're going to just talk about, in my opinion, what this means for CCP. What's this mean for other CCP people that support the CCP? As you can imagine, it's a little strange to see an entire country government support a terrorist organization. And what does this really mean? Why would, of course, someone like China, why would China support the Taliban, right? Well, quite obviously, CCP is going to support anyone that is pretty much against the American government at this point. They're going to support them unconditionally. But the funnier question is what does this mean for the shills, right? If the CCP, Jesus, is going to be a long stream. If the CCP, of course, is supporting the Taliban, then what does this mean for the shills? Are they going to continue? Will the shills continue to support CCP? Because it really is a hilarious thing to think that CCP has Taliban support anyways, considering what they're doing to Uyghurs. The world is very known, very clear. They understand very much what's going on with Uyghurs in China. So to think that the Taliban would somehow even want to talk to China is outrageously hilarious at best. But the question is, now you have a lot of foreigners, people that are shilling for China, and they always want to create this connection of association. And if guilt by association is the game to play, then does that mean that the shills are supporting terrorism? Because they're supporting the CCP, right? And if you support the CCP unconditionally, which you pretty much have to, you can't speak out against the CCP and be like, they shouldn't do this. Xi Jinping, what are you doing? You're an idiot. You can't do that, right? Which means that, are the shills going to denounce support for CCP, or are they going to continue in support of, well, in this case, the Taliban, a terrorist organization, who is being propped up and supported by China? And the funny thing that I also thought was very strange in this case was the simple fact that does the Taliban think that the CCP really cares and really wants to support them? Do they really think that the CCP has some genuine interest in helping them or anything like that? Let's be honest here. The CCP literally wants to just make Afghanistan another Pakistan, right? They want to control them, for certain reasons and things like that. It has nothing to do with helping any people or any freedoms or anything like that. And the situation is, it's just funny to me that you have a group, the CCP, that is being shilled, has people shilling for it, and now they're supporting the Taliban. What does it take for shills to come out and just be like, fuck, this shit isn't right? For those people that don't know, it was quite funny because Zach P. If you guys don't know Zach P, search his YouTube channel. He's kind of one of those guys that he's always been on the edge, right? He hasn't complained about China, but he's aware of what's going on in China, and he turns his head to a lot of it, and just ignores a lot of it as long as it doesn't bother him. And now that the education system has kind of bothered him, Zach P has kind of went off the rail, and he's kind of talked about people like Guelo 60 and Cyrus and Barrett and these people, right? About how they're fake, they're opportunists, and how they're just doing it for money. But again, the question is, how far does it go before you start losing support? Because I mean, like, what if the CCP just, like, I don't know, started supporting pedophilia? How far does it go before it's like, hey, this is bullshit, this is not right, and we have to speak out against CCP? Like, how far does it actually go? Because you think about it, the CCP is already pretty much like Nazi Germany was. They've already, like, done so many things that it's just insane. Like, they're stopping the passports, right? They're blocking visas. They're stopping a lot of in this case now, with the education thing, they're stopping private industry. But it's just hilarious, and how far does the CCP have to go? Do they have to take things before the shills are like, you know what, this just sucks, this place sucks, man? And I've had people that now have lost their job, and even Alex Absolute, he's another one that's like, he's always been like, my life in China is wonderful, and it's like, no, bro, no, it's not. It's really not. Like, and you have to see how things are going, right? And Alex Absolute, another shill channel per se, which I would say he's another Zach P type of person. He's kind of in the middle, more so. I wouldn't say he's out there just shilling it up hard, but I think he leans more towards enjoyment of China because that's where he lives, right? And that's his choice. But now that he has seeing the truth, a lot of people are seeing the truth of CCP because it's starting to affect them. And unfortunately, a lot of those people, are and were and are English teachers, right? So now you have CCP supporting Taliban. The Taliban, think about that. The Taliban, a terrorist organization. What does that mean? You have these people that live in China, the shills. They have to see that the government is now shutting down a lot of their work. The government is putting people in camps. They're supporting terrorists that attack their homelands. Think about this, like the Taliban attacks many Western countries, right? They attack your homeland, and you're somehow like, no, they're okay. CCP's okay because they're friends with the Taliban, and it's just how far does it go? I hate to say it over and over like a broken record, but how far does it go? So it's just it's just that situation. Let me read a few comments here real quick. Probably not going to stream too long tonight, maybe like 30 minutes or something. I was just bored, figured I would do something. And then I'm going to film some videos and hopefully have some videos out soon. So I don't know how much YouTube will allow the pro-CCP people to talk about the Taliban. They're not going to talk about it, right? It's a thing where it's a negativity thing. The pro-CCP people, the shills, they're not going to talk about the Taliban. They're not going to do it. Just like they're not going to talk about the education thing, right? They're not going to do it because it's a lose for them, right? It's a lose for Westerners. The only people that are really going to do it are the people that are frustrated and angry. The Alex Absolutes, the Zach P's. But you're not going to see the Jayos. You're not going to see the Barretts, the Cyrus Jansons, the Daniel Dumbrells. These people are not going to talk about that. They're not going to stand up for the Laowai in China and say, well, they're good people. You know what I mean? And they're not going to stand up and talk about the real subjects that should be talked about. They're not going to talk about the camps. They're definitely not going to talk about the Taliban. So, my German buddy here, who always comments, dude, thank you so much for the support from Germany. It's awesome to think somebody from Germany would watch me even. And I know that the hours are so weird, dude. So weird. Let's see. Yeah, come on, YGZ. Here, I'm gonna put the link in the chat, so anyone that wants to come on can come on. Like I said, I'm probably not going to be on forever tonight, but be on for a while for anyone that wants to come on and talk and bullshit. Here, I'll type that in. I think the pro-CCP people might talk about the problem of the U.S. government when talking about Afghanistan. Yeah, exactly. Of course, they're going to talk about how poorly the American government pulled out of Afghanistan, how they should have done things better. But they're not going to talk about how China just used it as an opportunity to align itself with a terrorist organization. Chinese stocks are not easy to be in now. They are variable entity interest. You don't own the stocks. They're so extremely xenophobic of foreigners, they won't allow them to own stocks. That is true, and it's not easy to be in now. It's always been that way. For those people that don't know, most of them are registered in the Cayman Islands and things like that. And it's true. Whenever you buy a stock of China, you're buying just a fake stock. And what happens is the Chinese government, which doesn't have an external watchdog like the SEC, like we do here in America, they can essentially raise and lower the value of their own companies by placing restrictions on them at any time. And then this thing happens basically where you've bought into this Chinese company that you don't really own because, again, it's a shell company. It's not the main company. You don't really own any shares of Alibaba per se. You own a share of their shell company that they've created. And, they have contracts with real companies, with the real company that allows them to funnel money back and forth. And then, of course, the CCP screws you over. You lose all your money, and they've already sent all their money back to the mainland. And at that point, you are screwed. So, yeah, that's true. This is something that has been going on for years. This is why companies, external auditing companies, the big four accounting firms, have worked so hard to try and get companies, Chinese companies, with these shell companies, to list in places like Hong Kong, because it's somewhere that they can actually be listed and actually get investment from foreigners. But instead, it doesn't happen that way. They continue to screw foreigners over by just getting registered of a shell company. So, yeah. YGZ Taiwan says eating lunch, maybe when I'm finished. Okay. Eat quickly if possible, my friends. Not to rush you, but I miss you, man. I haven't talked to you in so long, man. Sansa, yeah. I don't know how Mr. YGZ Taiwan got that started, but it's so true, Barrett. Just when it's really funny when you live in China and your Chinese is very limited. You can always tell who those people are because they're like, oh, 真的, and it's like they act like they understand. They're like, really? And you're like, you have no fucking idea what I'm saying at all, do you? And they never do. They never fucking do. And Barrett is one of those. He's one of those people that they have learned a few sentences in Chinese. They're like, 我想要去, and then they walk around in videos and they throw one out once in a while, but they don't actually understand any grammar or anything like that, and they don't understand tones or anything like that either. So it's a waste of time. But yeah, back to the topic. What is next? Like, what is next? How does China one up itself? How does it one up itself? I mean, we went from China, the country that is communist, to China, the country that's communist, that now they're going to be taking away private industry again for education. Now it's China that is supporting the Taliban. Like, not only do they throw Uyghurs in camps, but they have the Taliban support. I don't see how that one gets pulled off. It just baffles me. Hopefully, all these Chinese lessons improved his Chinese. I mean, he has a Chinese girlfriend. Do you think he would do a little better? Anyways, same for Barrett. Like, Barrett's Chinese girlfriend is actually Ollie's age. So you'd think that you'd think he would do a little better, but again, that's neither here nor there. The CCP and Taliban deserve each other. Who will get tired of the other first? Well, the Taliban ended up camps making like he's using picking cut. Yeah, that's the thing is, like, the Taliban doesn't understand. Like, they don't want to be your friend. China doesn't want to be your friend. The Taliban's like, oh, this is great. China has aligned itself with Pakistan, where we have a lot of our terrorist organization people. It's like, what? It's like, it just makes no sense, It's Mandarin. Oh, gosh. Putonghua. It's the Putonghua. Yeah, I just expect a little better Chinese out of some people that have spent so much time in China. I mean, especially like Guelo. Like, you're going on 20 years, bro, and you're only asking for PTO. Like, it's a little. Like, you'd think you'd think it would just rub off on you. Like, it would rub off on you a little bit. You hear the same shit every day for 20 years. You'd eventually have to be like, hey, what does that mean? But you can't ask. Like, I remember when Barrett couldn't ask for a large coffee. I was like, what the fuck? It's like, you can't ask for a large coffee even? Like, the word coffee is practically the same in English as it is in Chinese. I'm like, what the hell? I never understood that. Are there shows on the way home after For the Profit tutoring ban? I think you're going to see a lot of people that have been acting as if China is an okay place. You're going to see them coming home, except for a lot of the older guys that are retired. Like, you're probably not going to see the Wu Jiaos coming home. You're not going to see the Guelo 60s coming home. You're not. You're not going to see these people come home because they're really bottom of the barrel, right? It's like they have no reason to leave. They have nothing to go back to, in a sense. Like, people always like want to talk shit to me, and they'll be like, you came, whatever, you ran to China. It's like, and then I came back to America. It's like, how does that make sense? Whatever. I think it's easy for any Westerner to move to China, realize how shitty it is, and then move back to their Western country. So let's see. All he wants is cheap beer. Well, I mean, like, we have cheap beer in America too. I know he's Canadian, but like, we have cheap beer in America. I mean, that's part of the reason I don't like beer is because the first beer I ever had was like, what is it called? I have to Google because I don't remember. Mad Dog 2020. Does anyone Mad Dog 20? I guess it's like really shit beer. Mad Dog 2020 beer. Or is it some kind of red beer? Red Dog? Red Dog? I don't know. Red Dog? I don't know. Some kind of really shitty beer. And I think that's the reason I never liked beer that much, was because my first beer was a horrible beer. So, yeah. You can't care about a country if you can't be bothered to learn the language. Um, yeah, that's true. Like, especially for China. Like, I hate to be one of those people that are like, China culture, nah. But it's really is true. It really is true. Like, it's so different from Western culture. Like, if you don't learn some of the language in China, you really miss out on a lot. You really uh, like you really do um, you really do miss out on a lot of understanding of things that's going on around you. Um, let's see. Did you ever put out an opinion about Dashan? Um, I think Dashan. Um, it's a good question. Do I think he's a shill? Maybe he's the original shill. I don't know. But here's the thing. Like he speaks really good Chinese, right? Really good Mandarin. Of course, he has that Beijing Hua, right? He speaks that Beijing bullshit. But and I'm biased in that way because I lived in the South, and people don't use that DR bullshit, But I think that he's someone that actually moved to China and actually made a legitimate living. Like he became popular anyways. He did a lot of reporting and stuff and crosstalk, which is comedy, their stand-up comedy. Like he actually became kind of a name over there regardless. And is mad and angry as people will be at me for saying this. Kind of Hazza, did the same. Like, you know what I mean? Like Hazza kind of like if you don't know him, he's another YouTuber. Like I said, people are going to be like, "Meh, I can't believe you said Hazza, meh, Hazza." He's like another guy that speaks good Chinese, right? And he works for Chinese state-run media, to be fair. And but he kind of got famous for like singing in Chinese, and like got a legitimate job over there, and that's something, right? I wouldn't say that he necessarily shills for China. I would just say that he works in China, and his job limits his conversation. He may have a different opinion about that. I'm sure he will, but he's entitled to that. But he's kind of another person that has made it outside of the realm of English teaching and outside of the realm of just being an embarrassing shill, Mad Dog 2020 is like a fortified wine malt liquor. It's a ghetto drink. Oh, here it is. It's called Red Dog. Red Dog. How I had Mad Dog. I don't know. Red Dog looks like some crappy beer. Of course, it says premium beer. Red Dog premium beer, which means that it's probably the crappiest beer you can buy. Truth be told, it's got like yeah. Either way, you get my point. I've been to China a few times and didn't like it due to the fact that selfish and uneducated people. I hate the most of the people smoking in the men's stalls. The bathroom is full of cigarette smoke. Yeah, I think that was kind of the first thing. Like when you first go to China and like you go to get on the bus and then or the metro and like everyone's like, "Pwah!" and they push you out of the way. You're like, "What's up, dog? What's going on? We got problems?" Because like people in America do that. You're like, "What the fuck, man? Like what's going on? Why are people pushing me out of the goddamn way?" And then you realize that it happens every damn day in China. All day, every day. You have like 98-year-old women that like shoulder you and shit. They're like, nah. And it's just like you go to the bathroom and like you try to take a dump and you've got like some dude and he's like on his phone and he's like smoking a cigarette and you're like, dude, like like you got to go to the bathroom, you need in the stall, and like they'll be in there for like ever, like being on their phone, and you're like, bruh, bruh, and you're sitting there and you're trying to like hold it in. You're like, and like they'll be in there forever. Like it's so embarrassing. A lot of the little things you see. Dashan was a spring festival one year. Okay, it always shakes me how good Laowai is Mandarin. How good Laowai is Mandarin. He's super fluent and sounds native speaker level. You know, that's the thing. Like a lot of people, I find a lot of people that can speak Chinese, and this is me included. This is me included. Like I can have conversation. I can do very well in that sense. But to sound Chinese is like next level. You know, I'm not trying to say my Mandarin is super amazing by any means. I'm definitely conversational. I can easily have conversation, but to sound like you're a Chinese person, that's something that like Dashan does that like not a lot of people do. And even what was his name? Lola Farley does really good, you know. And you know, some people have put in that much effort into it, you know, and that's just the way that it is, right? Not waiting to get on the elevator before people get off. Yeah, you know, this is kind of embarrassing to admit. As I stroke my beard, um, I I had that happen to me so many times, like getting off the metro, where people were just like, "Fah!" You know, they would just run into you as you get off. They would try to get on, just "Fah!" And it got to the point to where like me and friends, we would, I swear to you, again, this is embarrassing, we would call it bowling. We're like, dude, we're going bowling. And one time my friend, we grabbed hands, I'm like, let's go, and we just fly, and we just went through the middle of the outside, because you know, like in the metro, like you're supposed to stand here on the diagonal ends, and then so that the people can come out of the train. But there's always like these fucking ass hats that stand here. So then, you know, collision, you know, and it's like, you know, I'm this fat ass foreigner, right? And we're like 5 times the size of all these Chinese people. And they still like decide to run into us. So we're like, fuck it. One day I remember we just held hands, me and my friend. We felt really homo, but it was fun. And we just knocked the shit out of about 30 people at rush hour. Just knocked the fucking piss out of them. Like just ran them the fuck over. And then we looked at him. We're like, what are you doing? Can't you see the... Of course, we said it in Chinese, but we're like, look, it's the line. Can't you see the line? You know? And they just looked at us like we were crazy, you know? And, you know, it's just like, hopefully those people had thought, well, oh, I guess this is why you don't fucking stand here now, isn't it? But of course, they're you know, at the same time, we're trying to teach a lesson to people that like are not going to learn. I'm sure the very next like day, the very next train ride, they stood in the middle again, right? But it's you know, you like China kind of makes you a dick too. Like it'll make you do a lot of things you wouldn't normally do. Like you come back to America trying to drive in America like you do in China, like people are going to be really pissed off. You know what I mean? So, let's see. Mandarin is hard. I tried to learn. Hard to do. Cantonese is much easier to hear and speak. In my opinion, and this is like not me trying to act intelligent, but I don't think any language is hard. I think you just have to find your motivation. I think if you know, again, like if little babies can learn a language, like you can do it, man. You can do it. You just have to find the motivation. I find for most of us, like we're just not fucking motivated. You know, you get to your point in your life where it's like, I've learned enough Mandarin. I can go to Subway and I can order a goddamn sandwich, and that's enough. And for people like Guelo, it's the opposite. He's learned how to say bye Joe and Pete Joe, and that's enough, right? That's how he feels, you know, because he's a loser and won't spend another 2 weeks learning how to even ask for directions. So he has to beg his wife all the time. So, So I think you could do it. You're probably a really smart person. I'm sure you could do it. You just have to find the motivation and put in the effort. And I'm going to bring on Mr. Shillbuster friend here. Give me a thumbs up if it's okay to put you on now, just so I know it's okay. Awesome. Going to bring him in. And here we
Hey
are.
guys. Hey Corey, how are you?
Good. How are you, man?
Yeah, not too bad. I've just finished work for the day. Just had like one class in the morning. It's like this summer camp thing. Regular classes halted for several weeks, so I'm literally just in for like 1 hour every morning. Perfect for me. This is how I want to work all the time.
Yeah. How is the education system there holding up versus what we've been hearing about China?
Well, they're not banning private classes, and why would that be? I mean, isn't Taiwan a part of China? Surely they should be following exactly the same procedures, right?
You make a very honest point there. It's almost like they have their own government or something there in Taiwan. It's like they make their own
Yeah, I mean,
decisions.
maybe. I think we're onto something here, huh?
It's very strange. So,
Yeah.
what about the COVID situation? Is COVID over
Um,
there?
Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit more about the sort of like what's going on in the
Hmm.
education thing compared to China, if that's okay. Just
Yeah,
very briefly, very briefly.
of course.
So obviously, like China, they're trying to change things up because I think like they seem to be under the impression that if they make life cheaper for people, they will start having more kids. That is their excuse for everything, right? But I think there's
Mm,
something a little bit more sort of like dastardly going on there. I think that they're trying to get rid of a lot of like foreigners in China. I feel like they don't want that foreign influence getting into kids' life at an early age. You know what I mean? Teaching them those Western values that the Chinese government hates so much. And a
mm,
lot of the time, the kids are spending weekends in schools, right? In these training centers, and they're just like they're basically carted around to all different training classes. So maybe on a Saturday they'll go to English for 2 hours, then they'll go to a art class, and then a piano lesson, and all of this stuff. And it's really like hectic for the kids. But here in Taiwan, it really is so noticeably different.
mm,
Now the kids, they are forced to do a hell of a lot. I mean, they have a lot more than like your typical kid in the UK. In the UK, kids go to school at like 9 a.m. and then they finish at what, like 3 p.m. and they never have any extracurricular activities. It's usually
mm,
up to the kid if they want to pursue that, or maybe the
right.
parents will try and suggest it, but they won't like force them into it. But in Taiwan, a lot of the training centers, they call it a bushiban here, a cram school. They don't happen on the weekends anyway. I think there's a rule in place where kids, like during holiday time and during the weekend, kids cannot really be forced into it. And apparently, it's even illegal to sort of open a training center for kindergarten level kids here as well. But in China, you see them everywhere, right?
Right.
So Taiwan is completely different with the whole training center thing. It's usually a Monday to Friday job, and no weekends at all. So the kids have a life.
Man, so it's like what you're saying is that in Taiwan they actually protect the innocent. The
Yeah,
children that can't
yeah,
can't protect themselves from their parents because
hmm,
like even a lot of Chinese people I knew that were again good people, right? Normal. They were the normal Chinese people.
mm,
As you said, they'd be like, "Yeah, my daughter takes English and piano and dance," and you're like, "She does
mm,
calligraphy," and you're like, "God
yeah.
damn, I want to see."
It's like
You
let
know,
the kid be a kid.
and the other thing is like it's not cheap. It's really not. Like I
Hmm.
remember like foreigners in Shenzhen were telling me that they were being paid like 500 an hour, 600
Yeah,
RMB an hour. So they're
yeah,
being paid like $100 plus an hour in China,
yeah,
like in
yeah, yeah,
China, where
yeah.
the wage is like 1,000 a week, or I mean 1,000 a month for the average person, of course.
Yeah, I was doing
And
some private tutoring under the table in China, like, also, I mean, it was illegal, obviously, but I was still
sure,
doing it. And I was making like 400, 400 renminbi for 1 hour.
Sure, like
Yeah.
that just goes to show like how desperately like out of touch with reality like a lot of the parents are. They're paying this much money to teach their kid English, and it's like it's that situation of it's too much for the kids, yes, but also at the same time, like I feel like it's not. They want to say that it's for the good of the children, but is it really for the good of the children, or is it just because they want to take back over private industry?
Yeah, I think it is. They just want to get rid of this private industry and maybe profit from it themselves. They're seeing that it's such such a lucrative business. Like, I mean, look at some of these training centers are making a killing, right?
Yeah, I mean, like look at it for Puby, right? He was walking around with like $5,000 cameras getting 500 views on his videos, but he was still using like a $5,000 camera because he had a training center.
Right.
I remember when that dude met me in Guangzhou and he had like, I don't know, 10 grand, 15 grand worth of camera equipment. I was like, what the hell? I'm like, I've got my $2,000 camera and like, a
Yeah.
couple lenses, and I'm like, and I think I'm hot shit, and this guy's like carrying around a huge fucking Pelican case of camera equipment. I'm like, fuck, dude, like we're not CCTV. So apparently, like you can make
Better.
money doing it. If you can
Um,
own the training center.
Yeah, and speaking of Puby, did you hear? I think he made a video where he was critical of the new laws, and he was basically saying in the video that he was going to break those laws, but then he wiped that video. He deleted the video from his channel, which is a shame because I didn't know about it because I don't really watch his stuff. One of my subscribers told me about it.
I remember he had that video where he was like, well, maybe we'll just turn it into a dance center or something like that.
Yeah, like
Like, yeah,
ballerina.
bro. Like, yeah, you're going to dance, bro. Come on. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, I could see it now. Like, come on, bro. Come on.
He does that Xinjiang dance where he
Yeah.
spins around, in that video where
Yeah.
he's in Xinjiang.
Why? And then, like, the police come in. They're like, dance class? How come he keeps reciting the ABCs? He's like, A for apple and B for boy. They're like, it's almost like he's teaching English too. And he's like, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no,
Like,
no.
no, it's ballerine. This is ballet. This is how we do it. We have to recite
Yeah.
the alphabet.
It's like, come on, man. Like, and I've heard that the CCP, the government, is already putting things into place. Anyways, they're not allowing any new training centers of any kind, whether it be art or whatever, right? So they're not that stupid, unfortunately.
But it's going to create a massive, like, underground scene, some black market sort of scene going on there, and
it's already been
they
some
won't be
black
able
market.
to control it.
I remember, like, I lived in Guangzhou, and like next to us was Foshan, and like the whole like middle part of like Foshan, like between Guangzhou, there were like lots and lots of apartments, and a lot of the like not so wealthy Guangzhou people would take their kids to Foshan to learn English because it was a little cheaper there.
Yeah.
And there would be a lot of teachers where the training center would be like in an apartment building, and you would go in and they'd have desks in there, and it would be an apartment building,
Yeah.
So,
some little like bodge job, kind of underhanded, under the table teaching. Like,
you'd be the lawai, and you'd have your desk, and you'd have your little Janada flag, and and
I know several people in Dalian that got busted doing that kind of operation, like where the police would like show up, and like some girl that I knew, she got deported like pretty much straight away. Her whole life was in China, boyfriend, everything. She went and done one of these dodgy little ESL classes, and it was like, see you later. 1 week later, bye-bye.
It's funny because like like all the people that are shilling are also breaking the laws, by VPN usage and things like that and stuff, and a lot of them are English teachers too. Of course, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, there's like the Alex Absolutes, and maybe he's not a shill, whatever you want to call him. If you think he's a shill, whatever. Same for maybe for Zach P too, right? Like he's an English teacher, and owned
Hmm.
his own training center or whatever.
Hmm.
And it just goes to show. It just goes to show that like no matter who you are, even if you try to do things legit, even if you shill, like
Yeah.
eventually they're coming
Yeah.
to fuck you. They're gonna fuck
Yeah.
you eventually.
And what possible incentive would you have for staying in China at this point in time? Like seriously.
Like now they're taking away your job. You're like,
Yeah.
I have no
Yeah.
freedom. It's like I have
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
freedom. I have no money.
Like
I
there's
can't
literally,
travel.
yeah,
Like what's
literally a
left?
whole list of things of why not to stay. And maybe one or two things like, I don't know, cheap beer, perhaps. You've already talked about that, right? But cheap
Yeah,
beer,
it's like well,
easy lifestyle.
my girlfriend's way hotter than I could do back in the West. It's like maybe that, but like
Yeah.
not gonna go there either. But like some of these people, some of the shills are like they're just batting averages there too. You know what I mean? So yeah, maybe some of them a little Jayo Nation, but
Well, isn't
you
that
know,
why he ran away?
yeah, I don't know how to feel about that situation. I got to be honest with you. I liked Jayo in the beginning. I thought he was an okay guy,
No, I think
but
I don't know.
he just I remember his wife in every video, and there was other people that I was like, yeah, this guy's he's okay. He's Jayo Nation, and he rides his bike in China. That's kind of it's a retard bike, but that's kind of cool, And it's like and they're like, oh, is that his wife and kid? And they're like, oh, his daughter is so cute. And I'm like, yeah, his daughter is so cute. And then I'm like, is that his wife? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, she looks really cranky. And I'm like, yeah, she looks like that every video.
Wouldn't
Unfortunately.
you be like that if you were married to some narcissistic guy like that, though?
And I thought about that too. I was like, well, maybe she has to keep him in line all the time. And
Maybe
I
she has
don't,
to stop him looking in the mirror and the reflections in car windows every 5 seconds when he's walking past, you know?
I don't know. I want like I felt that way about all the shows. Like I've wanted to give them chances, and
Mm, yeah.
I've wanted to like all of them. And
Hmm.
now that it's
Yeah.
like they're
Fair
still
enough.
in
Yeah.
support of the CCP, and now
Mm,
the CCP supports the Taliban, so it's like, dude, it's like it's even worse
right.
now. How do you
Right.
support the CCP when they openly support the Taliban?
It's just most of it is they just want to maintain their easy lifestyle in China. That's
Mm,
all it is, really. They don't
right.
believe the shit they're saying.
Right. It's very easy, especially as an English teacher, to be fair, to just go to work and come home and have your girlfriend or your wife do everything for you, and to never
Yeah.
have any responsibility. You
Yeah,
know?
like paying the bills and just ordering the food and
Yeah, like
every little thing, you know?
she'll do it all for you. You know,
Yeah,
Chinese
yeah.
women are pretty responsible, at least in my experience.
I
You
think
know,
Chinese people are responsible in general, aren't they?
right, right. So it's like, if you're going to have a Chinese wife or whatever, she has no problem, paying the bills. She has no problem taking care of the outside stipulations for you as a foreigner. As long
Yeah,
as you're able to work and help provide and things, or
yeah.
in
But Corey,
Jayo's
like,
case, ride a bike.
did you, I mean, for me personally, I didn't want anybody to help me when I was in China. I
Hmm,
wanted to try and do things for myself, which is
right,
why I actually studied Chinese. I studied the language,
right.
because I did not want to like have to rely on anybody. I'm fairly an independent guy. I want to pay the bills myself, I want to know how to do it at least.
Right.
Somebody can pay the bills, but I want to be able to do it myself if that time comes.
Hmm.
That's the difference between like us and the shills, I think. Well, I don't know, man. I don't know much about their private life, so I can't really say anything about it. But I feel like a lot of them they do rely, especially the drunk Canadian guy. They rely on their wives a lot.
Of course, it's that situation where it's like if you don't learn any Chinese, it's really hard to do that again in China. Once you learn, how to order yourself food, as an
Yeah,
example, you learn how to use Meituan or Olamar, whatever it may be. Like that's a good step. When you learn how to put in your address and all that shit, it's a
Yeah.
step, right? But it's like, what
Hmm.
do you do when you go out and you have to order some food? Like,
Mm.
I didn't want to be that guy that like walked into Subway and was like,
Giggle.
Naga
Yeah, yeah.
zero, like I wanted to be able to read the whole fucking
Yeah.
sign.
You want to be able to tell them what bread you want and how big you want it. Do you want
Right,
6 inches? Do you want 12 inches? Do you want all of the
right,
salad on
right.
there? You know what I
It's
mean?
like every foreigner in China that goes to Subway, they're just like, buy me a ball. It's like, oh, because you only know how to say white bread, motherfucker. You can't read the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
five.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to be
yeah.
like, you sure you don't want the wheat bread?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
They're
You
just
look like a wheat bread person.
yeah, they just like the shills. I know some of them can speak Chinese,
Sure,
so it's
sure,
not all of them.
sure. I agree.
Some of them have been there a lot longer than others, and some of them are more motivated than others. I
Sure.
think some of them do really like living in China. They actually do.
Sure, sure, of course. Like it's kind of just to poke fun a lot of times, but
Yeah.
there are definitely levels to it. There's your old 70-year-old sexpats that have never had any intention of learning anything. Yeah, no intention of learning anything about the country. And then you have some people that have done their best to fit in, and maybe they just haven't done very well. But then there's the people that have actually learned to fit in.
Mm,
The only issue I find is that the more, at least in my opinion, the more you learn about China is for whatever reason, the more you want to run away from it. Is That's how it worked for me.
that's kind of the same for me. Yeah, yeah. The more you learn, the more you understand, the more it becomes less appealing, and you start to question why you're in this place in the first place.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Um, I never understood.
Oh, I've got a funny Chinese language story for one of my mistakes in Chinese.
Hmm.
So one time in Dalian, they have a bunch of convenience stores. They're all called Quaker. It's called the Quick. We call it the Quickie Mart, like on from The Simpsons, the Quickie Mart. And I went into one of these Quaker shops because at the time I was a smoker and I wanted to buy a lighter. So
Mhm.
I went up to the lady at the desk and I said, "Hey, 你好，我要买一个打飞机."
Yeah, she's like,
Wow.
"You want a
She
really
just,
big airplane?" Or something like
she,
that. It's like
yeah, she
I want
gave
a
me
big airplane. Like,
she gave
really?
me the biggest like weirdo look, like really,
Mm,
because obviously
mm.
dafe it means a hand job, right?
Right, right, of course.
Like I just explain that for anybody who didn't know.
Yeah,
And lighter is dahoji. So it
yeah.
sounds kind of similar.
It's like, no, I
Um,
wanted a big airplane. You try, like,
yeah,
you should explain it to her. No, I meant big airplane. That's what I
yeah.
really
No,
meant.
I actually think that in dafe actually means to
Mm,
shoot, to
mm.
hit, like it's to shoot the aeroplane.
Right, right. So yeah, it's the yeah, the
Yeah,
character.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
So
it's so funny because the way the Chinese works is like you can change it around. You can be like, oh, sorry, wrong tone. I really
yeah,
meant this, and they're like,
yeah. They're like,
ah, sure
yeah,
you
right.
did. You
Do you
know?
have any funny stories like that where you like messed up part of the language, or you made a mistake,
Um,
embarrassing moment?
I mean, not. I'm sure. I mean, obviously, it's happened, but
Mm,
not that I can think of. I mean, um, not that I can think of. If I can think of one, though, I'll definitely tell you. But
yeah.
I know it's happened for sure. Like you can't avoid it. Especially
Mm,
like when you start speaking with tones and stuff, you don't remember which tone goes for which word.
yeah.
That was the thing
Of
for
course.
me. Like I didn't learn tones in the beginning at all. So it was like I would just learn by listening to people speak. And that works a good like 70, 80% of the time. But like that other 20% is like, well, if you would have learned through study manually by writing or something,
Yeah,
maybe, you'd be more
yeah,
accurate.
yeah. I wish I studied Chinese more at a more formal level. Like a lot of it is just self-taught, to be honest with you. And now, oh my God, because I'm in Taiwan, all of the characters, well, not all
Mhm.
of them, but a huge chunk of the characters are completely different.
Sure.
It's painful. It's painful.
Sure. And that was like for me, like I lived in Guangzhou, so like I spoke to Putonghua and everyone spoke to Guangdonghua, and I was like, shit, like what do I do in this case? I speak Mandarin and these people all speak Cantonese, Um,
Mm,
I remember this
yeah.
video. I think it was the Barretts, maybe where they went to like Hong Kong and they were like speaking Mandarin, and I'm like, stop it, this is embarrassing. Like,
Wait, the
don't.
Barretts were speaking Mandarin?
I think it was, who was it? You're right. It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been. Who
Yeah, I was
was
going to
it?
say.
I thought maybe it was Ollie, but I don't remember who it was. One of the shills, like they were
Yeah.
down in Hong Kong or something, and they kept like speaking Mandarin or something to people in Hong Kong, and I'm like, bro, they probably speak English just as good as you do. Like,
Yeah.
just you know,
You've been to Hong Kong, obviously, right?
oh, millions of times. Yeah,
Yeah. And I got by using English majority of the time. Like,
yeah.
seriously.
I wish I would have. I wish I would have stayed in Hong Kong instead
Oh,
of going into mainland.
it was
Maybe,
such a
maybe
treat to go there.
yeah, it was like going on vacation. It was like going to Disneyland.
Seriously. And they have
Sometimes
a Disneyland there as
yeah,
well. So.
like that's what I've seen. Like sometimes it was literally Disneyland. Um, so it was kind of like
Yeah, it
just
was,
a weight off your shoulders. But that's how I told people too when I returned to America. I was like, oh gosh, like
yeah,
I'm so
right.
happy to be back in America, back into the Western world, where I don't have to worry about like you know people like following me around and like watching me and shit. So
Yeah, absolutely. Like honestly, whenever I would go to Hong Kong, I felt like I was at home. Like
mhm.
really, that's it
Yeah,
feels really weird because it's nothing like the UK at all. But I just felt like just a weight taken off of my shoulders. Just
yeah. I mean, it's like how to explain this? It's like a lot of people they went to China and then like how to maybe we should play Haza. I was wrong. Do we want? No, we don't want to hear him sing. No, we don't.
I don't think I've heard that actually.
No, he. You can go on his YouTube channel. And it's him
Yeah.
singing.
No,
Yeah,
I've definitely seen that he did a song, but I just never clicked on it. I've watched a few of Haz's videos though. Like they're okay.
yeah. He makes me laugh because like
He's a nice guy.
I asked him the other night. I was like, of course, this is like right after I woke up and took a dump. But I was like, man, I was like, how did you ever like end up in China? Because of course that's what you think after you take a dump. You're like,
Message Haza.
yeah, right. No, I don't know how how I was like, hey, I wonder how. It wasn't like that. But so I was like, how did you end up there? And he told me, and I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. He's invested a lot in China.
Ty Dillinger, first time in China. I thought it was a third world country.
Well, I
Bam.
mean, kind of like they're not a developed country, although they'd like to think they are by sending people like into space and all of that thing. They're not a fully developed country,
Hmm.
you
It's
know?
funny how like China does a lot of things that like a lot of first world countries, major world powers would do. But then they
Mhm.
also have a lot of like, they always want to talk about like, just as an example, homelessness in America, like homelessness in America. And it's like, yeah, but it's a little different. Like we've got some mentally like fucked up people here that are like strung out on drugs, right? It's very
Yeah.
different than like people that are like, oh, I can't find a home or oh, I can't find food. Like,
And
listen, trust
the
me, as a
thing
fat
is,
guy, like you can
in
find food
America,
here,
yeah, and in America, there's a lot of welfare programs that people can, use to get some like money. There's actual charities that go around, and try and help the homeless people. Like there's a lot more options for a homeless person in my country, the UK, compared to a homeless person in China. And honestly, like all these shills, they've sort of been on this a little bit of a campaign to say, look, no homeless people in China. Like they'll film walking around, I don't know, like a big city where you would generally wouldn't see like homeless people anyway. But
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
it depends. You go near the you have to go near transportation hubs in China to see homeless people.
Yeah, train
I
stations. Yeah.
yeah, because I used to live near a major train station in Guangzhou, and I seen homeless people there all the time. Like I
Yeah.
used to film them, and people were like,
Yep.
Homeless people don't exist in China." I'm like, "Really? This guy has a sign that says homeless, like
Yeah.
need
Yeah. Yeah.
money, you know?"
Yeah.
And
Dude, I took photos of so many. I've got lots of photos. I put some onto Twitter already, but I got photos of homeless people in China.
yeah, like it definitely exists. It's just that they're not sitting underneath of like bridges and shit like they do here. They're sitting
Yeah.
right out in front of the train stations.
Yeah, they're not at the parks either, like because they'll probably get kicked out of the park.
Sure. And who wants to like it's really hard to be like who wants to be really drunk and try to sleep when you got all these ayis that are like nobody
That
wants to
is
sleep
true.
during that shit.
Yeah, that is true.
Chinese break dancing or whatever they want to call that shit.
Yeah. And like the homeless people there are pretty sophisticated with the way of getting money. A lot of them have WeChat codes nowadays as well.
Yeah, they're smart. They're so talented. They draw the WeChat code with a marker. Like,
Yeah. On
the
the
hell did
floor
he
with
pull that
chalk.
off? Yeah. Like, how did he pull that off? Nobody
Yeah.
knows.
But
Sheesh.
it's interesting. There are like no matter what the shills say, there definitely are homeless people in China.
Sure, of course.
Definitely, 100%. Like if like you said, they're all around the transportation hubs, mostly bus stations and railway stations. And one time, I tried to give a homeless guy some money,
Mhm.
and this guy walked past and told me, "Don't give him any money." I was like,
Right,
why? He was like, because he's cheating you. He's not really homeless.
right,
And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's my money. I can choose who I give it to.
right. And what I want to say, at least for me, and I'm sure you'll agree, like we're not saying that like homelessness exists in China to stick up for like America or the UK. We're saying
No,
it because that
it
it really
does.
does
Yeah,
it's real, and
yeah,
we don't like it. We're not
yeah,
trying to say
of
like,
course.
well, homelessness is everywhere, so it's okay in America. If
Yeah, it's not
homeless,
okay.
if you're okay, if you're homeless in America, like it's pretty fucking sad. It really
And the
is.
UK too. It sucks.
And it's the same for China because let's be honest, China has a shit ton of money. At least the government does, right?
Yeah.
And they could do more to help the real homeless people of China. So
Hmm.
it's not a defense mechanism like it is for a
No,
lot of the shills.
no, absolutely not.
So,
Like homelessness is a problem all around the world, and it sucks. And especially in our countries as well. Our countries have a lot of money. We could sort
sure.
this problem out fairly easily.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and it's to me it's like it's really strange because it's like you have a lot of people that claim that they want to help. We'll just say politically that they claim that they want to help with homelessness, but it does still exist, and I do believe that a lot of it happens because of mental disability and alcoholism and drugs and things. It's not again,
yeah, of course.
it's not an easy solution. It's not an easy thing to talk about.
No,
Um,
it's
but
not.
in China, like the homeless people that you do see, like I don't necessarily think it's because they're drunks or because they're on drugs. I do think that homelessness does happen in China, probably because of the cost of rent sometimes. You know, I don't know how some people can afford to live in Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Beijing,
especially on
Shanghai.
the wages they make. Yeah, right.
Right. It's like
Yeah,
it's a little extreme. The cost of rent in China is, you know, I'm sure it's equal or higher than like London, right? And same thing for
hmm
America. Like Guangzhou, the rent is equal to like Chicago, you know, and
yeah,
LA and
exactly.
places. Like it's
The
outrageous.
the gap in wages between the two countries is astronomical.
Right.
You know,
Like I know London is the same way as Chicago. You can live there and be a multimillionaire, a
it's
billionaire,
ridiculous. Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it's so expensive, so expensive.
So
But
it's
I
just
mean,
crazy.
anyway, this homeless problem, it's way bigger than just people saying which country is better than another country. You know, it's more important than that. And the shills, they're just turning it into a war between two countries to say which country is better because this
Mhm.
country doesn't have homeless people, and that's just
Right.
really immoral and ridiculous.
Right. I think that's part of the thing is like a lot of people think that a lot of times like from our perspective is that we're defending the West by saying China has it too. When we're not really defending the West, we're just pointing out a simple fact is this is the China community. We talk about issues of China, you know.
Yeah.
And if my channel was about America, specifically American politics, I would definitely be bitching about a lot of that stuff, you know. Um,
Yeah, and
so
we're not in denial. We're not saying there are no homeless people in our countries, which is what they're doing. They're literally
right,
saying China has
exactly.
no homeless people.
Yeah, the and you know is and there's other extremes too where like things get taken out of context about how the saying of there's no birds in China. Well, we realize that the saying of no birds
I
doesn't
love that one.
exactly mean 100% no birds. We realize that that is not true, but that is taken so freaking far out of context that
I love it.
it's
I love it.
embarrassing, you know.
I love it. I think we should make a new word, not embarrassing, embarrassing,
You know,
embarrassing.
it's
Too
so
embarrassing.
embarrassing, you know.
But it
That and
is. It's
that's
like,
a good question. Do you see more wildlife in Taiwan than you do in China?
oh my God.
Like it's
Wow, it is such a stark contrast between Taiwan and China. Like seriously, man, like I see lizards. I saw a lizard running around my apartment yesterday. I was like, holy crap, there's a gecko in my apartment.
it's like
Like it was
oh
freaky, man. Yeah, I was like, oh, hello. What are you doing here? And right, I went to there's a little river just kind of close to where I live. It is
sure.
just filled with all different sorts of fish, like unbelievable, like just millions of fish. Like I swear there was more fish than water. Like seriously.
And that
And the
happens
birds,
when they're naturally occurring, right?
yeah, yeah, seriously. The birds, like they're everywhere. I mean, there are birds in Taiwan for sure. And yeah,
I,
sorry, the guy who wanted to join very quickly is one of my friends from Dalian.
oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Chris. He's been on one of my streams before a couple of times.
Mhm.
He's back in Canada now, but yeah, maybe he'll join. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. So we have someone in the back room, Jerry Huang. We will let him come in and say what he wants to say. If you could give me a thumbs up to just let me know it's okay to add you into the video, I would appreciate it.
Jerry
And
Huang, that sounds familiar.
Jerry Huang, I'm going to
I
put him
think
in here.
he spoke to me on Instagram before. If it's
As
the
long
right
as
guy.
he doesn't like show his nipples, then it's okay.
No, that's yeah. No nipples.
No nipples,
No
please.
nips. No
No
nips.
nips.
No areolas.
No nipples. You know.
Hi,
Oh,
Jerry.
shit.
Hey, Corey, Lewis, how are you guys doing?
Good. How are
Yeah,
you,
good.
man?
How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm currently here in Australia, and I know Lewis in Taiwan, Corey's in America, in Chicago. How's everything
That's
going
right.
there?
Yeah, good. Everything's good, mate. How are things down under?
New South Wales is currently not too well, actually. There's been massive number of cases for the overall state. Like yesterday, we'd have over 1,000 cases. Not pretty at all.
Right. Where in Australia are you?
New South Wales.
Oh, yeah. I heard that the cases there are kind of on the up. It
It
kind of
is very
sucks.
terrible.
So you're in lockdown now.
Yeah, it's already about 8 weeks.
8 weeks, and what are the rules like?
Depends on what area I live in, because I actually live outside Sydney, and for in Sydney at the moment, there's like 12 local government areas that's like in critical condition where like you can't go out of the store unless you have like legitimate excuses such as going to work, and even then you'd have to have a permit.
Man, it sucks. It sucks. Corey, sorry, you were going to say something?
Oh, I don't know, but us Americans, like at least where I'm at, we've been living the joyful life of doing whatever we want and going into all the restaurants and all that stuff, and we've been doing it for like over a year now. And just recently, Pritzker, who is the main person here in our state, has said that lockdowns are coming, and we're like, oh no, like shit, like we're moving backwards, but the COVID is coming back, right? So we know that like it's about to be a sad, tearful time coming for us. You know?
Man, yeah. I mean, we reported 0 cases in Taiwan yesterday.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's getting better. It's getting better. We're still in something called phase 2 lockdown, but it's kind of like all the restaurants are opening now, and you can eat in a lot of places. A lot of places, a lot of people are getting their vaccination. Everything's kind of returning back to normal. On September the 6th, they're going to reduce the level down to level 1, which basically means just wear a mask when you're in an enclosed space. So everything seems to be going back to normal, and I'm hallelujah.
That's good.
I just can't wait.
Unfortunately, currently here in Australia, like or for New South Wales at least, like all the restaurants they only now take away, no eat-ins.
Right. Yeah. Take away, and it's really frustrating because like you just want to sit in a restaurant sometimes.
I know, right? I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah. So Corey, I'm just going to leave for a few minutes. Maybe you can sort of have a little chat with Jerry there and see what his story is. I'm interested to hear it though, but I just need to nip off for a few minutes. Okay.
All right.
Take time.
All right. Cheers, Jerry.
Yes. See you then.
Ooh,
how are you, mate, Corey?
Good. Yeah. No. Like I said, we've been going to restaurants here and stuff, and it's been pretty normal. And like a lot of people here, especially in like the rural areas, like they're not going to listen to that shit anyways. Like Americans are kind of stubborn in that way. Even myself, like I didn't get vaccinated, and I had COVID once, and I'm
I heard about that. I'm glad you recovered.
Yeah, it took a while, but I was like, yeah, I had it, and most of the people, I want to say it's like 50-50. Like most of the people I know are either vaccinated or they're really extremely against vaccinations. Like a lot of people that have been vaccinated, like they're not those types of people that are trying to get everyone else vaccinated, but they vaccinated themselves and they don't really care. But, I didn't get COVID that bad personally, but maybe I was just lucky, right? Who knows? So, but America, they're not doing as much, I think, as many other places are attempting to do. Like, especially states like Texas and Florida here, like they're like, nah, fuck it, like we're not going to do anything at all. They don't care at this point. So,
okay. So, what did I miss out in the past hour of your live stream?
So basically, just talking about the main idea, of course, was if people are supporting CCP, CCP now supports Taliban. So it's kind of like, how do you support something, a group that also supports terrorism? It's a little difficult,
Definitely, I feel bad for those affected civilians. Apparently, recently there was like 60 people killed in the airports.
Well, it was so crazy because, like, as American planes were leaving, like, there were Afghan people that were clinging to the plane and, like, falling down and dying.
Yeah, the little boy. There was a photo of, like, a little boy falling down from the side of the plane. That was terrible.
Yeah, it's like that shows you just how desperate people are to get away from something like the Taliban, And then you have the shills that are in China that are kind of like,
oh, my God.
They're like, oh, well, China, the CCP is just wonderful. And it's like, it's
like
a little hard Yeah. It's so hard to completely agree with CCP, and I can't say that I completely agree with the American government, but I definitely speak out against the American government when we need to.
Certainly, same here.
It's not that situation where I support everything that they do. Whereas if in China, you don't really have
A voice of speech.
Yeah, you're not allowed to speak out against them anyways. Not that they were going to, but still.
Speaking of the American and Chinese governments, I find it quite funny how many of the shills, like when they see anyone who opposes the CCP, they just automatically assume that we fully support the US government. That's what I've noticed among those shills.
Right.
It's so ridiculous.
Right. I know. I'm like, why are they always coming after us? Like, why? Like, they're like, oh, you support the CIA. I'm like, that dude's Canadian. I'm like, he's not even American. How can you say he supports the CIA?
Logic doesn't work with them. That's why.
It's like just you're immediately pro-America if you're anti-CCP. It's like, how does that work?
I know. Like on Instagram, I got attacked by a few of these shills, and one of them, like this guy called Li Feng, who he saw me speak against the CCP, and then he calls everyone who is opposed to the CCP as CIA bots. While at the same time, he goes around saying that anyone who calls Chinese people who supports the government as Walmart as racist, like the level of double standards is just so appalling.
Right. Well, and I think that's the thing is like whenever that's the thing. Who you look at it and you're like, who has the reputation for hiring propaganda people only for their side, right? Like the CIA, like if the CIA wants to hire me, like please, like like something, give me a call. But like all these accusations, I think that it works. They change the road around, right? Because people are like, well, you're Falun Gong, and then they're like, you're
Falun
CIA,
Gong,
you're FBI, and it's like, dude, you're a Wu Mao. It's like they try that same logic in return, but it doesn't work because the CIA just isn't hiring a bunch of people. The FBI isn't just hiring a bunch of people to go out on the internet and make YouTube videos.
Exactly.
It's just not happening. So I'm going to add Mr. Chris here to the stream, and I guess this is Lewis's friend, so it should be okay.
Oh yeah, Corey, quick question.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if you've seen this. Do you know Lewis, how he has a second YouTube channel called CCP Showbusters?
Yeah.
I saw one of his videos that was uploaded to you about 2 months ago. He basically exposed the Barretts for promoting this medicine that it's called Lianhua Ting1 capsules. It's basically used for what is it called? Curing. It's really effective in curing colds and fevers, but they were caught trying to promote it for getting rid of COVID-19. Do you see that video?
Yeah, I did see that, and I had this discussion with him too, and it's really difficult for any of us to promote any kind of drug. We're not qualified like that, and that's another problem with the shills is a lot of them are not really very well educated about China or the language or the culture, and when you tell people that the CCP is awesome or China's awesome, like that's one thing, but when you're like try a drug because it works, it's like, dude, like you are messing with people, like
people's lives.
People, like a sick person, someone is sick and they're going to do anything they can to get rid of this disease, this virus, and you're telling them to take a pill that you have no idea if it's or not.
I mean, they can pretty much get charged for manslaughter. Like seriously, that's disgusting to the max.
Right, and it's like the fact that they get away with it is like insanity. It's like I said for Jayo, like I don't know how the guy doesn't get like. How are they not charged with treason somehow? It's like a lot of times in the Western world, we offer a lot of freedom, and it allows people to flow through the cracks, to do things that wouldn't be allowed in other countries,
Honestly, speaking of Jayo, I don't think he's probably the worst of the shills. Like the main ones you've got to be the most careful about is Nathan Rich, Daniel Dumbro, and the Barretts. Those are the three most dangerous ones from my point of view.
Sure. It's funny. The the funny thing about Nathan Rich is no one really has contact with him, so no one really
that's
knows. No one knows like what his deal is. None of the shills have contact with him. None of us have contact with him.
Nope.
So it's very strange, right?
Well, I do have a little bit of sympathy for him because, like, I mean, he did. I mean, he grew up in he was forcibly grown up in a Scientology cult, and he actually hated it.
Sure.
Which was pretty much what led him to become what he is today. So for that, I actually have a little bit of sympathy for him.
And I think that's something that he really works well off of. Is he Nathan Rich is he might not be the most book smart person in the world, but he definitely knows how to play out people's emotions.
Yep.
He knows how to anger people, how to get people, riled up and to get them mad and to get them to follow what he is saying. He's very good at that, actually.
I mean, one example of this is this video about Serpent ZA. Like, Serpent ZA exposed as a fraud. That was ridiculous. I saw it. I was like, what the hell is this about?
And it's like he did that video where he created like this huge web of like, these are Falun Gong people.
Oh, yeah, dude. Even including his wife, Sasha, in it. Like, what?
Yeah.
Makes absolutely no sense.
Like, C Milk's wife is Falun Gong. It's like,
Vivian. Oh, yeah.
She's Falun Gong.
They're not.
And, it's really strange. But he was smart that he made a lot of shocking videos at a very good time. The Dolce & Gabbana. And I had a Dolce & Gabbana video out that got thousands and thousands of views. And mine got taken down. Mine actually got YouTube said it was too much or whatever, and they took the video down. And I had 40,000 views.
What? Oh, wow.
And for some reason, his got to stay up, which was weird. But he really pushed the envelope with a lot of videos, especially the Hong Kong thing and Taiwan thing.
Taiwan is not a country, just a province of China. That was absolutely bollocks.
And then the riots, how he went on about the riots and stuff. And, very opportunistic.
With the Hong Kong protests, I mean, to be fair, both sides have done bad things. But then when you think of it, it was pretty much the introduction of the extradition law and the national security law those two things were the ones breaching the current Hong Kong political and legal systems. That's why so many. I mean, there's a reason why so many lawyers have protested against these two things. There's a reason why.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like everyone knows exactly when China's making the move. It's very obvious. And that was just an obvious step for them. Everyone was like, yeah, obviously, we know what's coming. We know what's coming next. Same thing for the education crackdown now in China. They've made a lot of smaller steps, and people were like, we know it's coming. They've known it's coming for a couple of years. It's just when, and then it's finally happened, So, it's so I guess, Chris, do you want to speak a little or?
That's okay. Yeah, please. Yeah, Jerry Huang, good to meet you.
Hello.
You're friends with. I saw you on that the Inside the Great Wall channel.
Inside the Great Wall channel. Which one was which one are you talking? What's the Instagram page? The one that you missed.
I don't use Instagram. Sorry, I saw it on YouTube. Here, I'm sorry. I'm so new to this, but Inside the Great Wall was a channel.
Inside the Great Wall. Can't say I'm very familiar with that.
Oh, my bad.
You probably got me mixed up with some other guy.
Sorry, my bad. Old Sola. But yeah, I was trying to get a hold of Lewis, and I saw you guys were live. I thought I'd pipe in and say hi because I was in Afghanistan 20 years ago, and wow, I only spent a week in Kabul. I was just backpacking after university. It was awesome, but I walked past the Chinese embassy being built, and they saw them holst up the big communist emblem there. And I didn't go to it, but right near there in the whole diplomatic corridor was a very famous Chinese nightclub / brothel. Everything it was crazy. And that place there has been for 20 years been notorious as a hangout place for journalists, spies, diplomats, everyone, all funded and hosted by the Chinese government, obviously. And oh yeah, you can get nice, beautiful women shipped in all over the world.
Oh my God.
Crazy. So with America out now, so China, like if you know that geography of Afghanistan, like a thumb, so there's that part of the thumb that borders China. So
Yep,
that's
a
going
very
to be
small border.
that's going to be the Ilu there. So there are going to be a lot of infrastructure projects there. Oh yeah, I can't wait. There'll be a high-speed train soon, no doubt, to Kabul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I have a lot of family that have been to Afghanistan, military people, military family, and they were all kind of shocked about how America left in such a hurry, without notice. And
what was the reason why they left?
Huh?
What was the reason why they left?
Well, supposedly they've been planning to leave for a while, but it just it seemed all too sudden. Apparently, I mean, it in my opinion, it's a little fast when you leave helicopters and shit there. Like why would you want to leave helicopters and stuff? But without the being political of America, I think it was wrong in my opinion the way that they did it. At the same time as saying staying in Afghanistan forever, is it viable really? But I think it was very obvious from the beginning that as soon as China had the ability to take advantage of a situation against America, that of course they would do that, right? They would always do that against any Western country. So I think that's just the expectation that people should have seen coming, really. So,
well, it's America. It's American politics. But I'm not a big Trump fan at all. But he did want to get the troops out of there earlier. So, but
sure.
American politics takes time. You got Congress and all and such. So,
sure.
What a mess.
I think the thing was just that they had a certain time that everyone would be able to leave safely and get out of there with everything, and then the time changed, and then they just left all of a sudden. And then they left people there, and people got left behind, and then equipment got left behind, and you can always pull out smoother than that. You would think, but maybe not.
As an amateur historian, I can only say it's just like my father's generation, Vietnam. It's like the fall of Saigon right now. It's literally the same.
Right, like even the picture of the helicopter like coming off the roof, it's like, So I'm gonna look over some of the comments real quick. Just let's see. Stickbits. Oh, it's Stickbits. This guy, he leaves like he's one of those guys that's like, man, you're CIA. He leaves them on like every one of my videos, and then people call him an idiot. And he continues like he has no life, basically. He's like one of those CIA nutters. They sure are tyrannical and murderously insane farks. Well, it's always like it's really typical to always see like these type of people. They always get called Wu Mao, and they're like, I'm not a Wu Mao. It's like, yeah, but you're saying all the same things that the Wu Mao always say, and you're not trying to debate anything. Like you're literally just trying to, throw mud at this point, So it's always like a.
And then the other thing is that they some of them even called me like a traitor to the Chinese because I opposed the government. Like all these 50-cent army, I was like, all this nationalism is just what gives us Chinese people a bad name across the world. Just a very bad reputation in general.
Oh yeah, right, like dude, you're an independent person. Like your life is not to live for the CCP.
Absolutely not.
Just like my life is not to live for the American government. Like the American government should live for me, not the other way around.
Yeah, indeed.
Like, come on now.
Yeah,
I think it's
Canada too.
People have been like so brainwashed and reversed in China that they think that like the CCP and the people are the same, and it's like no, it's not that way at all.
No, they're not. They're two different entities of China.
And it's the same thing in America. Like I think that if we voted, and especially in China, if you gave Chinese people the ability to vote for every single law, every single thing that happened in their country, the country would probably look a lot different. especially once Chinese people realized how powerful the ability to have that freedom is, it would change things significantly. So,
Yeah.
this channel is a fact-free zone.
Fat-free zone.
Fact-free.
Oh, fact-free zone. I thought you said someone said fat-free zone.
It's a fat-free. No, it will never be a fat-free zone as long as I'm around. Never.
Never.
The Chinese do vote, you lying CIA goons. Yeah, that's true. The CCP does vote. The Chinese Communist Party does vote. To put in their own members and to push people and move people around. They definitely do that. But the average person of China does not get a vote. The CCP votes. So it would essentially, it's nothing about people of China having any say,
Gosh, I love trolling the trolls, sticky bits. How China works. Indeed, yeah. You should tell a lot of lies, yeah. Oh, God. That's why I can't do live chats too much. I just want to yell at these people. But, in China, democracy is a privilege, not a right. It's a privilege. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to be a Communist Party member, but they don't promote that as much anymore. The whole village, people from their commune and their small villages and small towns vote. They don't do that as much anymore.
No. And the main thing is like, people don't understand that, like, in their government, like, the people aren't voting for anything. It's other communist members that are voting. It doesn't mean that, like, you have a saying as a person. It's always like how they tell people, well, we've got these many thousands and thousands of CCP members. It's like, yeah, but they're not Politburo members. Like, they don't have real voting power to change laws and regulations in China.
And then another thing you need to take into account is, like, how many people are that do actually genuinely want to join, because, like, some of them may have no choice due to, like, probably, like, financial reasons, like wanting to support family and all those other factors.
Right. When you're told, like, if you join the CCP, you're going to have, like, job opportunities, it's like, well, sure. It's really no different than joining a union at this point, like a job trade union. I don't think that people are joining CCP in that way because they support the government outright. But
that's speaking of that. I remember you did a video analyzing, like, Nathan Rich's "I don't hate China but I hate the CCP" lie. One of the things that I found problematic with his video was that he didn't mention how many people genuinely want to join the party, as I mentioned just about a minute ago. So that's his argument entirely shut down.
Oh, Jerry, do you listen to a Seneca podcast?
Which podcast?
Seneca. Oh, really?
No.
Oh, okay. It's good. Or how about, do you read Cynicism, Bill Bishop Cynicism?
Not really. The only podcast I really listen to is just ADV podcast by Serpent Zeta and Lower 86.
Oh yeah, cool.
Let's see. No one remembers, but Corey was the first shill out of Guangdong. Guy was giving the Chinese a pass for racism since they had no MLK. No, actually, I explained that racism in China is very different than racism in America. Basically, racism in China is because of the lack of diversity, whereas if in America, it was completely the opposite. You had a large amount of people that were brought here during slavery, and for that reason. Whereas if in China, like, a lot of the racism just stems because regardless of if you're not Chinese, then it's completely racism. It's not to give them a pass at all. It's to explain that the racism is different. While wrong, racism is racism. It is still wrong. It's definitely not to give them a pass. No one has ever said, oh, well, it's okay to be racist. It was to point out the fact that the racism is different and that Chinese people don't know that it's racism because of the way that it is. Whereas if in America, racism is a daily discussion and you have a group of people that are screaming and yelling every single day that they're oppressed, whereas if in China, people don't know that they're oppressed, and that's how we know that oppression is working very well there.
I find it quite funny how, like, when it comes to, like, issues in other countries, China is always quick to bring it up. However, when it comes to issues in their own countries, they seem to go relatively quiet and they just avoid talking about it.
Oh yeah, I'd hate to be a Uyghur in China right now.
Yeah, I feel bad for them.
Right. It's that situation where you're unable, you're just unable to speak up in any real situation. But if it's a sensitive subject, you're definitely not able to speak up.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Speaking of the Uyghurs, I found on Instagram, I found this account that I found extremely dodgy. It's called Bully Xinjiang. It's basically like this young girl. She appears to be mostly Han Chinese, but like she's basically trying to promote like stuff around Xinjiang. And I saw one of her videos, and then it was like, do all Uyghurs speak Mandarin? And she said yes, but that's obviously not true.
Oh,
So I knew something wasn't right.
there's a word for those type of people. Oh, there's
Bully, yeah.
Zuba, the name of it's a type of female name for a Uyghur woman. Do you know that?
Pretty sure it's Goli. It's actually
Just another ghoulie, yeah.
yeah, another Goli. But basically what happened with her was like Serpent Zeta and Lower 86 actually exposed her on one of their podcasts. I forgot what episode it was, and because like she was confirmed to be what is it called, working with the Chinese government. And when she found out that she got exposed, she started complaining on her own channel, saying how those two were just like harassing her and just making false lies about Xinjiang and all that nonsense. It was just so funny to watch.
Like when a lot of the shows were really going against Uyghurs, I had so many Uyghur people that were like messaging me on Twitter, and like they would talk to me and stuff. And I tried and I tried and I tried to get them to do a video. I was like, hey, like you can block your face, you can change your voice. I was like, do whatever. And they're like, hell no. They're like, there's no fucking way. They were so scared to, they're so too scared to speak out against anything in public. But in they had trusted that in private I wouldn't say anything, of course.
Of course.
It was crazy. Same thing for like with all the Tibet stuff that's been going on. Like so many Tibetan people have messaged me and been like, no, like the shows have no idea what they're talking about. And a lot of them would love to speak out against, but they can't, right? They won't, they refuse. Like I've even offered like money to be like, hey, I'll pay you something for your time. Come on. And they're like, no, hell no. Because they realize that no amount of money is worth losing their freedom forever,
Unfortunately for these people, for like those shows, it's money over morality.
Right.
And also continuing on about that Guli girl I told you about, recently on one of her newest Instagram posts, I saw her along with, do you guys know Li Jingjing, who's one of the CCP spokesperson on Twitter?
Right.
Basically, I saw her, Li Jingjing, and they were like talking to Daniel Dumbro on one of the Instagram posts, and I was like, this definitely this definitely is suspicious. Like, about the Uyghur stuff.
It's been that way from the beginning. It's like in the beginning, all the shows were like going places and like doing things, and we're like, these are obviously shill jobs, right? Because even when I lived in China, it was the same thing. They're like, hey, do you want to go to Hainan? All you got to do is be like, Hainan's a wonderful place, and then you're like, no, And then they were like, what about Changsha? What about Dalian? We're like,
Dalian, that's my mom's hometown.
And so
we'll do that one.
No. But I don't know. And so we knew it right away. We're like, these are obviously shill jobs. Like the whoever is paying for them to go, right? And they were like, no, we're paying for this on our own. We're like, bullshit. No, you're not.
That's who's scared to accept the truth.
And then they all of a sudden they're on like CGTN and they're like, it's like, wait a minute, you went to this place and now you're there while being on CGTN. It's like, it's a little strange, like people are not dumb. They can put it together,
Speaking of CGTN, Serpent Zeta exposed that news channel, like on his video called what is it called? Chinese government's defend its foreign assets. Where if you go to like about 21 minutes onwards, you'll hear Liu Xianxi. She was holding an online meeting with the Barrett's Guaylo 60, the Giant Nation, and some other couple shill, and basically it wasn't working, and then she apologized to the audience about how there was technical difficulties, and then she was like, in the end, she said, obviously Beijing is not very savvy in pushing out its propaganda.
Mm.
And then that's when Serpent's Day paused it and basically explained the whole context. And when I first heard her say that, I was laughing so hard because like she just accidentally exposed the news outlets. Like, oh my god, serves you right.
Right. It happens a lot. Let's see. Comment real fast. I guess we'll entertain the Wu Mao. He says, as if the Chinese are oppressed, they have healthcare. Americans are so oppressed, they're left to die in the streets without healthcare. That's oppression.
I swear I've heard that comment before somewhere.
It's like,
who's that?
Oh, it's sticky bits. Actually, I went to the hospital in China. I almost died in China, and I remember seeing mold on the ceiling in China in the ER, and there was a guy smoking in the ER. While I was in the emergency room smoking, and there was mold on the walls. So it's like, even if you get an opportunity to go to the hospital in China, like the healthcare is not very amazing anyways. But for people that don't know, in America, we have Medicare and Medicaid. So it's like, if you're too poor to get healthcare, like you get it for free. And then once you get to a certain age, you kind of get it for free anyways. So it's kind of like, the people that say, oh, well, healthcare is expensive in America. Sure, it is. If you can afford it. It's expensive in America if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, then you just get it for free anyways. So it's like, but I would rather pay a lot for something than to have horrible healthcare, even if you can't afford it, because that's the situation. It's like whether we think it's expensive or cheap, whether you're from America or the UK or Australia or wherever you're living, the healthcare that you get there is better than what you get in China. Period. It just is. And that's regardless of the cost. Is even if you have billions and billions of dollars, if you go to a hospital in China, it's probably not going to be as good as one, say, of the UK. It's just not going to be. Of course, there are probably exceptions in China. Of course, where there's some amazing hospitals there. But does that mean that the average Chinese person is going to some amazing hospital every time they go? No, definitely doesn't. So,
speaking of which, you said you lived in China, but which city do you live in? For the last several years.
So I was in Guangzhou, actually.
Guangzhou, okay.
Yeah. So I was obviously down there in the south, and I used to travel back and forth between Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Hong Kong, Macau. All those areas down there are so close and easy to get to by train.
Of course.
So.
Fun fact, that's where I was born.
Oh, really? Wow. So in Guangzhou, like which district, do you know?
It was like near, I don't remember, but like the hospital was located near this subway station called Yeshi Mingyuan, which is part of Line 1. I don't know if you know it.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
St. Martin's Park.
I see. Yeah. Been there a million times. Yeah, that's the thing. Guangzhou is a huge, but Guangzhou is so huge. But actually, for one of my jobs that I had in Guangzhou, I used to take a bus right by that same hospital. That I'm sure it was the same.
Oh,
one.
wow!
I'll have to look and see, and maybe just for fun after the stream, you can confirm or deny. But I think so. But I loved Guangzhou. I really did. It was my favorite city in China. I could have went to Shenzhen, Shanghai. Could have went to Beijing, but I always loved Guangzhou. I don't know.
I love the subway system there. It's really, really developed.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It really is. Like if you love public transportation,
that's me.
then China has that down in most of the big cities for sure.
Possibly, bro. It's definitely good.
I still like public transportation in Japan a little better because I think that it's a little easier to get from one city to the next.
And more reliable.
Yeah. But the inside of the city, it's still good in China for sure. It's still great. Yep. That's for sure.
Wait, Jerry, you lived in Dalian. Ni tu Dalian, huh?
那我是那个我妈妈是从大连来的。
Oh, okay.
我妈妈家乡就在大连，我妈妈从家那是大连。
Oh, okay. Yes. So when Lewis and I were there, they were building the metro station there. So remember the explosions they'd blow and blow up, and a couple of the subway stations near Zongshan Ditaejian, that crashed. That fell down and crashed, and a bunch of miners were killed. Oh yeah.
I mean, the last time I've been back to China was back in 2014. So that time they still haven't opened the metro yet.
Oh yeah, long time.
Yeah, 7 years.
And I have to say, somebody did a donation of 500 Lightseeker, starting a donation fund to get stick bits and enema or ball gag. Should keep him entertained for a few minutes. Yeah, I don't know if the enema would help him any. I don't think so. Probably not going to. The ball gag, yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, I could block him from the channel, but he's kind of a horrible troll, so it's kind of funny,
What does he do on your channel?
I don't know. It's one of those situations where, like, he could easily come and try to make a discussion, but they never do.
It could honestly be a bot. It could honestly be a bot right now.
Like Shills and Wu Mao, they never try. They never try to actually defend what they're saying. They just spew the same garbage over and over and over.
Exactly. I can't even have a personal conversation. I've been trying to call him out for a while, but who's Lightseeker? I like this Lightseeker. Who are you? I like you. You're cool. I like your comments and all. And thank you.
Lightseeker comes around like quite a bit actually.
I like you, man. Mad respect.
But so I think I'm gonna end the stream here. It has been nice talking to you guys. Mr. Jerry, if you want to contact me in private, and same for you, Chris, if you want to send me a message somewhere.
What's your Instagram? Do you have an Instagram?
I do. I don't use Instagram very much, but it's pretty much the same. Just Prime in China.
Let's have a look.
Let me see. Is it hidden or what's your Instagram? If you go in StreamYard and you go to the private chat button, you can just type your Instagram in there, and I can find you.
I actually gave you a follow request earlier.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because I think, let me see here. Follow request. 50 other people have sent you a follow request. I don't use Instagram. Like, I tried Instagram. It was just like, it never worked for me.
I mean, I can barely tolerate Facebook and WeChat. That's all.
Yeah. Like Facebook for me, like I don't really use anything anymore, but I try to, so maybe Jerry, type your Instagram, at least what it is, and then I'll confirm the.
So type it in the private chats.
Yeah, just go to private chat here. Okay.
Okay. There it is.
Well, anyways, gentlemen, I gotta run. We will chat again soon with Lewis as well.
Already? Yeah, man. It was nice talking to you. Lewis vouched for you. He said you were a good guy. So.
What's this?
Oh, did you hear a song? Sorry, one last thing. Did you hear a song about?
I'll be right back, Corey. Just give me a second.
2 weeks ago, that song he made about the Lee Barretts.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. Lewis is funny. He's hilarious, actually. He's one of the reasons, that I keep making the videos that I make is because he's one of the few people that I still like in the community that I enjoy talking to. We just work so well together, talking together and things like that. He's awesome. He really is. So.
Well, sorry, brother. I gotta run. I gotta have some dinner here.
Awesome. Yep. I'm gonna end the stream, guys. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you.